Welcome back, all of you. Next, we'll have the panel discussion on mobile learning and BYOD, implement policy for innovative learning environment. For this session, I would like to call the esteemed panelists, Mrs. N. Madhuri Parti. Mrs. N. Madhuri Parti is a visionary and a futuristic educationalist. She has a vast experience in setting startup schools and has spearheaded various schools pan-India and played a vital role in the evolution of learning experience. She is currently the group director at Shri Horizon School. She has been honored at national and international levels. Received the International Professional of the Year Award by International Biographical Centre, Cambridge, England. Featured in the Marcus Who's Who book, honoring successful individuals from different spheres of life. Received the Doors to Diplomacy Platinum Award by the US State Department for facilitating an international project on international relations and diplomacy. Presented the Rajiv Gandhi Award for Excellence in Education by the Rajiv Gandhi Foundation. Received the Congressional Youth Leadership Award by the Global Youth Leadership Conference, Chicago. Received the Most Innovative Principal Award by Aero Youth by pioneering a range of educational experiments. Give her a big hand, ladies and gentlemen. Now we have Mrs. Vasudha Neel. Mrs. Vasudha Neel is an educationalist with over 21 years experience. Currently working as a principal at Vidya Sanskar International School, Mrs. Vasudha Neel has been a dynamic and versatile educationalist. A double master's in psychology and education and special educator by profession. Ms. Neel has been working towards bring about decisive change in the Indian education system and put it par with the best in class. She has been pioneer and has introduced Apple education at Vidya Sanskar International School. She was one of the keynote speakers at EdTechReview, where she presented her views on technology integration education. She was also interviewed at India Education Summit at Vidya Sanskar as the first school in India to implement Apple education across the school. She was awarded Best Dynamic Educationalist of the Year by Media Federation of India. Ladies and gentlemen, Mrs. Vasudha Neel. Now we have Mr. P. Vamshi Krishna. Mr. P. Vamshi Krishna is the principal of Delhi Public School, Surat, one of the first school in India to be recognized by Apple as a lighthouse school for the innovative methods of technology implementation using Apple devices and iTunes U private courses for customized content distribution for over 2,000 parents on the school iTunes U for homework and resources. He is also one of the first Apple Distinguished Educator and Apple Professional Development Trainer in India. He has represented India as an ADE in various world conferences at US, Ireland, and UK. He has an experience of training over 1,000 teachers and school principals across educational institutions in India and abroad over the last 4 years on technology integration in schools and use of Apple devices in teaching and learning. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. P. Vamshi Krishna. And our moderator will be Mr. Gary Coyle. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Gary Coyle. Pleased to have you.
Good afternoon. We've all been involved with mobile technologies to enhance learning in many different forms, and so this afternoon we'd like to explore what it takes to make a successful mobile technology program in your schools. So, Mr. Vamshi, DPS Surat has had a fantastic implementation that's allowed mobile technology to enhance student learning and drive innovative instruction. Can you tell us a little bit about what your vision is for technology in education?
Good afternoon, everyone. The question which Gary asked is, what was the vision of the school with reference to the mobile technology? This was basically in 2011, and technically, this was the vision of the founder principal, Mr. Sivakumar, which I was a part of. This was in 2011. We were actually planning the vision for the next 10 years of the school. And when you do that with a team of teachers and team of the board members and the principal and the other members, we were questioning ourselves, a student who is joining in school in 2011, when will he pass out? And the bottom line is, let's say, after 14 years. So the next question, so 2011 and then add 14 to that is 2025. So the next question gave us a lot of thoughts. How will the scenario of education will be when you actually reach 2025? So that's a very difficult question to ask, and then everyone has an answer, because most of us, when we were in schools, and now we are in schools, there's a huge difference. So we thought, if this is the difference with our generation, which is digital migrants, what will happen to the generation of digital natives? And that's where we struck a chord, saying we need to think of something wherein you'll have to have a personalized learning device kind of mechanism. Probably we thought learning in 2025 will be like medicine. You can't have same medicine to be given to everyone, same diagnosis. Probably you'll have to go at individual level. So keeping that in mind, we've started exploring options, and we ended up with this particular device. That was the whole concept behind this.
Fantastic. Ms. Madhuri, at your school, you have a robust bring your own device program. What are the pros and cons of a BYOD?
I only remember the pros. Cons we just analyzed later just to take a learning lesson. The pros were many, many, because, when children are bringing their own devices, we were doing a project for Cyber Fair, which is Doors to Diplomacy. It's a contest held by the US government. And we all know, we all come from the same system where we have maybe 1 or 2 computer labs, which are totally jam-packed in our timetable. And the computer teachers are not at times very supportive to having children sit unsupervised in the computer lab and work. They don't want to take the responsibility. So the whole idea generated from there, we told them to bring their own devices. And the pros, if you ask me, the learning went beyond classrooms. One, of course, for that project, learning has to happen beyond classrooms. We were not restricted to that 35 minutes period. Children are natural learners. They are inquisitive beings. They want to know how, why, when, where. And today, the whole scenario of education has changed. I give a very, that's my favorite example because it's easier to understand. When we went to school, our teacher taught us about Taj Mahal, maybe where was it, when was it built, who built it, what stone was used, how many years it took. Today, more information is available on net. So if as teachers, we are going to be content deliverers, we will have failures in our classrooms. We need to go beyond that. And to go beyond that, there could be nothing better than BYOD. Bring your own device, do your research work, get it to the classroom, share it with others, collaborate. Yeah? We are all talking about 21st century skills. But I think it's time we stop talking and start implementing. It's high time. And implementation, we will have to integrate technology into, hands-on learning, we know is the best learning, sensorial learning is the best learning. Nobody's denying that. But if there is something new, let's open our arms and embrace it instead of, there will be technical hitches. Yeah? I think it's time we overcome them and move on to the next level. Children love computing. They love playing those fingers. I have a 3.5-year-old grandson who loves watching screen as per his choice. What's wrong in that? The kind of vocabulary he's developed by watching Barney, Teletubbies, it's amazing. So what's wrong in using technology? So my stand for everybody is, their minds are full of questions if they can be answered by technology, and then we take it to the next level by making the usage, where we say Bloom's taxonomy, last level, create new knowledge. Yeah? that's the best thing that can happen. I think I've answered your question.
Absolutely.
And maybe beyond that, yeah?
So we've made a fairly strong case for the vision for technology and the implementation for technology in the classrooms. At what age, Ms. Vasudha, should technology become part of a child's learning experience?
I have a 2.5-year-old age. I mean, my pre-nursery students are using it. First of all, I would say that technology is not the end. It is the means to the goal, what we are achieving, what we are trying to achieve. And as my both co-panelists said, that things are moving faster in such a way that one technology which is in today may be obsolete tomorrow. And we both were discussing the same on our both platforms. Many of you don't know that Vidya Sanskar is the school to have Apple technology, but he was our teacher. I mean, we went to DPS Surat to understand what is it happening. And we went in 2011, they started in 2011 end or 2012, we went. And the guidelines were very clear, and I was very, very clear with my teachers, I was very, very clear with my management that we have to go very, very slow. It is first taking teachers into confidence, taking parents into confidence. I think that we will answer later. But it was the journey, and it's still a journey wherein we are in the 3rd year, wherein all my students from grade pre-nursery to grade 12, pre-nursery to grade 2, we have iPad labs, and teachers have their own iPads, plus we have some MacBooks, iMacs, where they create own content. And from grade 3 onwards, it's bring your own device. 3 to 8, they have their iPads. 9 to 12, they have their iPads, plus laptops, plus MacBooks, whatever students want to bring. And yes, the education has, the learning has increased in leaps and bounds with my students. 2.5-year-old, 3-year-old, if we are doing a project or we are teaching them about solar system, telling them about planets and showing them the picture, and using the iPad and showing them the sky guide and telling them, okay, now these are the how. So they are very excited about it. Concept of addition, subtraction. There are some simple games wherein my children used to say that no longer their parents say that, okay, now 2 plus 3 is 5, you have to draw 2 lines or 3 lines, and they say, no, our teacher has taught us that, if we have learned it through the big fish, small fish. So they are very, very excited about it. And yes, learning has improved, and I have seen it myself, and I have seen children improving a lot.
Fantastic. So besides bringing in the devices themselves, there needs to be some infrastructure that's put in place to support that. At DPS Surat, Mr. Vamshi has leveraged iTunes University in some very exciting and interesting ways. Could you share with us how you've gone about doing that and what learning outcomes have been affected through iTunes U?
All right. Yeah, I'll just brief you what exactly is this iTunes U program. Apple has actually come up almost 7-8 years back with the concept of iTunes U. U is basically university. This is a free platform for anyone in the world. What Apple has done is they brought the best universities in the world together under one umbrella, and that's called iTunes U. Whether it is on Windows or on a Mac platform, anyone can download the courses and curriculum, and being here, I can watch what's happening in Harvard University now. That's the beauty of iTunes U, and the most amazing thing about this iTunes U is it's free. You don't have to pay a penny also. So what we did was, the problem which we figured out way back, we started almost a couple of years back now, is all of us have a lot of parents who have intention to help the children. They have good intentions like schools have. But the problem is time. They don't have enough time to sit with the children to help them out with the resources and additional reading, etc. The ones who have time don't have the resources. So these are the two problems which we figured out that they are having. So what we did, this iTunes U, apart from a public platform, or if you open an account through iTunes U, Apple, any educational institution can do that. That is also free, no charges. You can start distributing your content without any external vendors coming into your school or parents, free to your parents. So this is basically a beautiful content distribution system to your parents. So what we did is, ours is exactly opposite of BYOD model. In our school, devices don't come to school. We started iPad implementations right through nursery. And it has gone till class 6 now. So they don't bring devices to school, whereas the devices are at home with parents. And every particular parent is given a course link. So once you tap on the link, the resources will come onto your iPads. So we had links on English, like let's say class nursery. You have English, you have maths, you have environmental sciences, and if you have Hindi. So we have 4 courses. So every 10 days, teachers give resources in these courses. Now what are these resources? You have a simple concept sheet, wherein basic fundamentals which are already being taught in the class are given once again for revision. Because please understand, the biggest problem in our schools is, even though I have an intention as a parent to know what's happening, I can't know what's happening unless I come and meet you. So that has to be changed. So whatever is happening in this 10 days, only the crux of that is given through this iTunes platform, first. Second, we want children to watch a couple of videos which are already there. But if you ask a parent to say, you go and search it yourself in the YouTube or some other places, it's not going to happen. So what we did is bring the links which are related to the topic which you're teaching today, right, and put it into the iTunes U course. So just at the tap of the button, the video is directly gone there. So parent can do that particular thing. And third, there are content presentations which are being used in the classroom by the teacher. But if the same is given to the parents, that can be a wonderful revision tool. So we started putting the presentations also into the iTunes U courses. And now we have gone a step ahead. We have started developing, rather creating our own multi-touch interactive books. Because I'm sure everyone who sits here agrees, for a pre-primary classroom up to primary, creating this is not rocket science at all. Most of the content is already available. You'll just have to put them together and share it with the parents. So general platforms of sharing is either you send an email or you send it in multiple ways. So the problem there is everything is not collated together. That's why we went in with this iTunes U. Once you get the link, tap on that particular link. Throughout the year, every week, whatever information is added by the school gets into your devices wherever you are in the world. That's the beauty of this one. The last week, we had a couple of parents who had to go back to Canada for their citizenship. So they didn't attend school almost for a month. The parent came back and said, we didn't lose much because everything what you were doing week-wise is already with us. So what we're trying to do is reach out to parents without spending a penny, right, by training your teachers, right, on creating and curating resources and giving it to them on their devices. So we do not have a problem that devices come to us and we have a difficulty, but at the same time, maximization of this is happening. So that's what we have done, iTunes U platform. And slowly now we are building up, because Apple has come up to us and said, if you're already creating a content, let's say you have created content for nursery, English, Hindi, maths, environmental sciences throughout the year, week-wise. Why don't you share it with people? We said, why not? So we have started developing. Now, we are in the background. Latest, probably by next year, we'll come up for anyone to use in the country what we are already making free of cost. That's what we are trying to do, actually.
Fantastic. Ms. Madhuri, could you build upon that? Could you share some examples from your school of how students' engagement in learning has increased through the use of your mobile technologies?
All right. As I said, one more thing I'd like to add to this thing. Khan Academy also offers a lot of modules free of cost. Beautiful modules are available on Khan Academy. Go log on and teaching will become far more easier. And coming back to my question, of course, I think I cannot even forget one moment of those days when we were doing these projects. I think the best thing in that is their minds are so engaged when you use devices like this, where they can find out whatever they wish to. With a textbook, we have a limitation. If you have whatever text is there, that's all that we can read. But I think as adults also, I do that very often. I start working on one thing and then there will be another link that will pop up and I'll go to that. And ultimately after half an hour, I'll realize, my God, I've gone absolutely, kind of away from my topic. And I've opened 6 more sites linked to that site. So children love to learn beyond. And this was one platform where moment they had one piece of information and they wanted more, there were more those Q questions, kyun, kaise, kahan, they could log on further and enhance their knowledge further. Yeah?
Great. These implementations that we've talked about generally don't happen overnight. And Ms. Vasudha, you talked about earlier the fact that your school went slow to go fast. Could you tell us a little bit about how you got teachers comfortable with the new technologies?
Yes, of course. I had, when we decided around 2012, a year after these guys decided. So 2012, May, June, we decided that we wanted to do something which is very comfortable. The first question was that, ma'am, do you want to make it a bookless school or a teacherless school or something like that? So I said, no, not at all. It is just to strengthen you guys, because their mind, they got click, and I think they got a little skeptical when I said that my dream is that maybe you are sitting here and maybe to strengthen you, a Harvard lecture is going on, your children are listening to the lecture, and so they said, oh, do you want to just turn it into online classrooms or something? I said, no, not at all. It is, and then what we did when we went to DPS Surat to understand, and I was very clear in my mind that I wanted to go slow, but for that I needed my management's confidence, because it is very, very imperative, because most of the school, they want to do a thing just for the show off also, that okay, our school is, technology enabled school or something like that. But then I had to take them into confidence. I had to take the board into the confidence, and they said, okay. I told them it is a 3 to 4 years procedure. You have to go slow, you have to be patient. And the first thing what we decided, me and my management, we decided was, we gave all the iPads to our teachers. So we gave the iPads to the teachers. We conducted their Apple training, and we did it before winter break. So we have 3 to 3.5 weeks winter break, and we went very slow. So it was not at all a nightmare. And we are a Cambridge affiliated school, and Cambridge says that, the pedagogy says that teacher and students, they both are traveling companions in the journey of education. So we made little mentor groups, and the students helped the teachers to know more about iPads. And I was not comfortable with the project I was trying to do with my teachers, and I was with them learning everything. Whenever Apple trainings were being conducted, I said, okay, I also don't know, let me learn it with you. My vice principal and I, we both used to sit together. And one of the students taught me how to use iTunes U and how to use iMovies. And then he was, just boasting amongst his friends that, okay, I taught principal ma'am today how to use. So then with this, the best thing was that a teacher-student relationship improved a lot. The psychological impact, they both came close to each other, and they used to say, hey, you don't know anything, ma'am, okay, let me help you out. So that was the thing. So, and yes, students are much ahead of us. We were just sharing, Gary and I, we were just sharing. It's not that I don't have challenges, because how many times I put firewalls and everything. Next day I have a VPN, which is, they have done something. And the student is, he wants to be a professional hacker, ethical hacker, he tells me. So I said, you please have mercy on me and don't do these things. So then they told us that, okay, you give us time so that we can have Facebook and anything. I said, fair enough. So we did that 1 hour in a day you will have for the Facebook. So it is to take not only teachers into confidence, but children into confidence, telling them the nuances also, explaining them that this is right and this is wrong. We cannot get away from technology. So we went slow and steady, and I think we are still in that process. We are still improving and doing things. Thank you.
One of the challenges that Ms. Vasudha mentioned was that the students are often ahead of the teachers, especially in terms of their comfort level with the technologies or their ability to work around systems. So, Vamshi, how important is it that we have digital citizenship programs in our schools?
All right. Yeah. So you want? So should we have the questions at the end so that we are in flow?
Could I ask a question? Kindly permit me.
Oh yeah, you can go ahead.
I must compliment all three of you
Thank you so much.
on two counts. Number one, you are, I am audible. Number one, you are quite adventurous. You could initiate something and you have a kind of vision too. At present, we are dealing with a touch screen generation. And as ma'am has said very rightly, it is not only a co-learner, I am to learn from my grandchildren now, their age is there. But in a school, we have a curriculum, we have process of curriculum transaction, and then we assessment. My question to all three of you is, because you are practitioners like me, how do you design this curriculum? And how do you implement it? And how to go into this mode of assessment? Keeping in view that we got certain broad policies of the government, or maybe NCRT or CBSE and all these things there. I'm sure you must have been affiliated to some of the boards there. So keeping those bindings in view, because I must say that I choose you or Khan Academy or all these things are doing a wonderful job. And how you are making it, you see, possible. I'm sure that you are making it possible there, the way you're telling me, with this kind of commitment there. Keeping, you see, the strings of CBSE and then you see education models are intact there. How you are able to transact this thing?
Any one of you want to answer? All right. So I'll put it this way. A very nice question, sir, I think. A beautiful question, which a lot of you may be having in your mind. So I'll put a few fundamental points here so that our discussion is in the right direction. First thing, when it comes to curriculum, CBSE itself doesn't know, right, where exactly they're heading, right? I think there's no one from CBSE here, so, right? Yeah. So let's discuss that, right? Yeah. So I'll come back to the point. So coming back to the point, right? So the bottom line, the problem, there is a specification or requirement for the curriculum like CBSE. When you come to a particular standard, let's say class 9, class 10, you'll have to go through a structure. But to be very frank, the board has no mandatory guidelines till grade 8. And if, I'm sure everyone must have read NCF here, right? If you go through the actual bottom line of NCS or whatever policy document you pick up in education, right? You actually have to make sure whatever is the curriculum board or whatsoever, whatever content is being spoken in the classroom has to be relevant and it has to be understood by the students. That's the bottom line. So, using these particular platforms, we are trying to make it more relevant and according to the learning styles of these children. That's what we are trying to do. And when you come to the necessary, all three of us, if I take them along with me.
I can answer it in one line.
Yes.
All these techniques that we are talking about are supporting learning. All right, they are a support system which make learning far better, far more accessible. It is not a roadblock that you have to cross while covering the curriculum. It's not a roadblock.
Madhuri, is there any, you say, health hazard? Because children look at that iPad all through,
See, that is-
any
that
eyes, anything like that?
Okay. That is no, okay.
I think we'll come back to questions at the end of it so that we are in the right direction.
That question,
Right? Yeah.
I'll go back to that same example which I probably gave in this conference last year also. We all know cycling is good for health. Did anybody come by cycle in the morning? No. So it's okay. None of us cycled any day.
In BYOD strategy, when we go for BYOD, the first two cons which come to a student is information overload and touch screen addiction. If you have seriously taken a BYOD strategy, then you should have a serious plan to tackle these things.
We have.
You can share that.
No, his question was something else.
That is a health hazard.
I think possibly what is being said is, nothing is an unmixed blessing.
Yes.
Right.
Whatever we do, whether when we keep saying, even on television it is now shown, somebody is drinking, it is not good for health, that kind of stuff. But beyond that, the fundamental point is, at least at the initial stage, when the teachers are going completely into technology, how do you balance your curricular, formal, mandatory needs with the change in the methodology you have followed, and what were the challenges you faced?
As we're running short of time, perhaps let's frame that as our last question with the panel, and people could follow up individually afterward. So if we would just go down the line, how do we balance technology versus traditional education?
You want me to answer that?
Yes, please.
I think the purpose of it, definitely technology is a tool actually, right? We at any point of time, I personally, myself do not believe that we are trying to replace everything, including teacher, with technology. Definitely not. This is a supporting tool, definitely, for learning. And also we should understand that there may be some apprehensions in our minds as digital migrants, and sometimes we ourselves may be, the bottlenecks for learning for children a lot of times because they are digital natives. I'll just give an example. We had a parent coming from US. They've migrated back to India. So the age of the child is around 2.5 years old.
We get excited when you have the first child and then you want to bring the best books and then start learning at a very young age. So both the parents were IT guys. They had iPads and everything all around the home, right? So this child of 2 years started picking up the iPad and then playing with that particular device. And definitely as a parent, we want to direct them back into education. So they put some interactive books on that. The child started learning. And after a couple of months, the parent is given a typical board book, which a parent buys, right? The board one, which you can't damage, to the child. Now, what exactly happened is a beautiful transfer of training, which will happen to most of our kids in the next couple of years. The child picked up the board book and started tapping and saying, "It doesn't zoom, Papa." The child says, "It doesn't zoom." He started pinching, right? So we have to understand that what kind of learner, what kind of person is coming across. See, let me ask, we are in a tech conference. The question is changed now. The question which I'm going to ask you is, how many of you don't have a mobile phone? No one has an answer to that. No hands go up. Because we are dealing with a generation whose environment is technology. Whose environment is basically technology. And if we as a migrants don't slowly get into that particular methodology, then we are taking them back. We are feeling good that we are actually teaching our children walking on land, but actually we are forgetting they are experts in swimming. I mean to say, they are experts in technology, right? And that's their natural environment of learning, right? And we are trying to bring them back and say, no, this is slightly different. So what I'm trying to tell you here is we have to have a balance of both. We are trying our best to strike that, but also keep in mind that their world is slightly different from ours. It is, I would put it in one statement: if you can't beat them, at least try to join them.
I think I have a serious question. I mean, the whole panelists. Please do understand the Indian educational scene. What do you do as part of technology? You are leveraging content through technology. That's what most schools do. And that's what they're doing. The question is, how do you establish the credibility of the content, the granularity of the content, the impact of the content, and authenticity of the content? You see, it's very, very easy to say, I uploaded, I've done this, this, this. The danger is, I can tell you today, the kind of textbooks you use in the class, I think most of my heads of the schools don't have the ability to understand whether they are age appropriate. They have the requisite vocabulary to do it. So, you know, we are at a stage of change. Understand the context where we are. One, to my most respectable colleague there, when he was talking about CBSE, education, learning, there are 4 myths about learning, which is worldwide, and India is not exception to it. We are a growing educationally very wide. In fact, I said it once in Hyderabad, there was an IB conference. I said, what I am seeing is the colonization of intellectual mind. The problem for us is, but we only know how to criticize, we don't take the pride in doing things. I mean, if you want about inclusive schools, which people talk about today, what could be more inclusive than Gurukul? But what did you do with Gurukul? It's a question, it's a very reflective question we need to ask. And school is not the best place to learn. Remember, this is the first myth. What Alvin Toffler said, no, Ivan Illich, I think he said, it's in the classroom that the creativity of the child gets stifled. The first myth, that school is the best place to learn? No. Intelligence is fixed. This is how our classrooms are designed. This is how teaching methodology is designed. It's another myth. When I was a student of psychology, I remember that we used to learn some of the models. We used to say intelligence is innate and everything. With the evolution of mind, we understand where we are. The third myth is teaching produces learning. That's what we do. I've taught, and he has learned. As simple as that. And the fourth is, we all learn the same way. Now, what's technology doing? Because our whole methodology is designed that way. It's a, how do you design your classroom teaching? On an average ability curve. How many of you can stand here and tell me that you know how to differentiate the tasks, how to differentiate the resources, how to differentiate the assessment? Can anyone come here and say that we know it? We know it too well? How many people can tell me as great educators here that what are the principles of collaboration? You see, the cliche of using, I understand, it's important. There's a high level of energy. But nothing changes. The hard truth about education is that it's a relationship enterprise. The critical skills will still remain, whether you use technology, you don't use technology. And there is no definite research or evidence. I have been to many conferences that where you say that technology per se improves standards or grades. No. But what does it do? It facilitates. Now, if you want to create a multisensory classroom, how do you create it? A single teacher by himself cannot create. So technology can be leveraged to create multisensory. What do you do with that? You cater for different multiple intelligences, different types of learners. But do we know as teachers to leverage this? My question to panelists will be, how do you train your teachers to find a niche between information overload and information anxiety when it comes to students and teachers using technology? Thank you.
Thank you for your input. I think unfortunately we've run out of time, so if you would like to meet with the panelists afterward to follow up on that question, please do. As we've heard through the course of this panel discussion, there's really not just one size fits all in terms of technology implementation, that it's really about striking that balance between technology and instruction. It's often said that the best one-to-one device in the classroom is the teacher. And so thank you, panelists, for your input, and have a wonderful afternoon, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, panelists, for such an inspiring session. I will ask Mr. Gary Coyle to felicitate the panelists. Mr. Gary Coyle, please. Mrs. N. Madhuri Parti. Mrs. Vasudha Neel. Mr. P. Vamshi Krishna. Give them a big hand, ladies and gentlemen.